What did you think of Record of Ragnarok's first season? Germs, you have the floor.
Well, I got a little interesting surprise throw in here. I think I might have sent you a little message, but before I watched the Record of Ragnarok, I read all of Record of Ragnarok. So, and my reasoning for
Are
that,
you caught up?
I'm fully caught up. I've read every chapter that's out.
Nice.
And I wanted to do that not just to say I read the manga earlier, blah blah blah. Because I heard the news and everyone's talking about it. I'm like, oh, I should probably read the manga first. Just I don't get influenced by just the animation and what's going on. I want to see what makes people love the series so much. And
right.
Oh boy, what a great time that reading that was. I felt like I'm back into my Kengan Ashura days, just reading that all at once. It was like, oh, what a great time. It's just great, dumb, fun watching people beat the shit out of each other. It's just, that's basically
everything we want.
That's basically what the whole show was.
Our kind of show.
So after I read the manga, I was like, okay, now I'm ready to watch the anime. Let me see what's going on, because I was hearing people all over the net like shit on everyone's just posting the Aphrodite meme.
The anime fandom is hating this one.
So I was like, oh shit, okay, let's see what kind of they got here. And honestly, after watching all 12 episodes, it wasn't great, but it wasn't like bad. Honestly, I was expecting like a slideshow. I was expecting House Husband here. I was like, oh no, this is like, I'm about to be on the reverse side of Mr. James seeing House Husband being treated so well. I'm about to see Record of Ragnarok be shoved through the dirt here. And honestly, it wasn't. The animation wasn't fantastic, but the story beats and the story and everything was adapted how I kind of would imagine it'd be. It wasn't like they didn't put all their effort into this. It didn't feel like a super fantastic adaptation like Nagatoro or something, but it just kind of like the bare bones adaptation a show can really get, which isn't great as an anime watcher. I'd imagine, but as a manga reader, it's like, okay, I got to see some of the moments animated. They weren't animated fantastically. This is no bones or Madhouse or whatever,
or Mappa,
it's like, or Mappa. It's just like, okay, not bad, but not what I wanted it to be. That's basically the whole. That's my review of the season, of the anime season. It's just not what I wanted it to be. It's like I can see it. I can see if I squint my eyes and I see the frames and then I don't look at the frames per second, and I'm like, okay, look at just the pictures. I pause it. I'm like, okay, that's where I'm at. That's the manga panel right there. Mm-hmm. But just seeing it in motion, it was just like, oh no, please no. Like I seen like random fights from like other shows this season that looked better than this. It's like, please, why it didn't deserve this. But that's my basic review of the season. Just not what it deserved for how fantastic the series is. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you. I want to thank you. Second of all, I think there's a reason we do this show together, man. I really do. I agree with a lot of what you just said. First of all, I want to say, I want to start, I thought you might go in another direction because everyone hates this one. So let me just start off here. And I'm going to say what everyone else, besides you, because I didn't know that you would say this, but basically what no one else wants to say, and that's, this shit is so overhated, it's ridiculous. This anime is really, really overhated. I don't want to say underrated, but it's certainly overhated. The people on Twitter make it seem like this is a slideshow. This ain't a fucking slideshow. The Way of the House Husband is a slideshow. It's a disgrace that people consider this a slideshow. This is an actual adaptation. Now, it may not be the best adaptation, but this is
an adaptation.
It's an adaptation. You cannot say that this is a slideshow. For all the people out there saying that this is a slideshow, you're spoiled. You've gotten way too spoiled with anime. You need to stop watching shows like Demon Slayer. You need to stop watching shows like Jujutsu Kaisen. You need to stop watching shows like Out of High School. You need to look at anime a little bit more holistically, okay? Just because you love the manga so much does not mean that it's going to be animated exactly how you want it to be. So, and I don't want to say the person's name, but I saw someone on social media very hyped up about this, tweeting, "Oh my god, what a ride, what a journey." And then when they go to post a video about it, they're a little bit less enthusiastic, and I know why. That's because human beings are influenced by other human beings. We're influenced by news, we're influenced by social media, we're influenced by people we talk to, people we listen to. I get it. I understand. But I think a lot of people are in that conundrum where they may have enjoyed the series, but because the hate for it is overwhelming. I mean, you talked about the memes. Just go on Twitter. Just hashtag Record of Ragnarok. See what the people are saying about this. I mean, the people hate this. You know what I mean? And it's a bandwagon. I mean, people are just bandwagoning on top of the show. And it does not deserve the hate that it gets. By no means is this a terrible season of anime. By no means. By no means. Which begs the question, was it good? I mean, listen. It has its own style. I don't want to sit here and say it was great, right? But it certainly has its own style. This preferred a little bit more choppy animation with flashy designs as opposed to very fluid animation. Now, listen, I get it. If you want great fights and you're like, it's all about the fights, I want to see fluid animation for the fights. I get that. But
I wish as well.
I wish as well. Dude, if Mappa could have done this would have been great. You know what I mean? Like you could, if Ufotable would have done this would have been great. You could sit here and think all day about how it could have been better. But at the end of the day, that's not what happened. This is the product we got. And I think it really comes down to a fundamental question for how you judge an anime. There's kind of two routes that I see. And you kind of are going down one route, and I think it's interesting. One way to judge an anime is how well of an adaptation this is, right? You look at the manga, you look at the anime, was this a good adaptation? Another way is just reviewing and looking at the anime on its own as a standalone entity. And I don't, people are going to say I'm a little bit hypocritical because the House Husband review, but that's only because it literally looked like the manga. Like there's no point in watching that shit, right? But I don't think that you should judge an anime on how well it adapts on manga. I think it's certainly a factor, but if an anime doesn't adapt a manga in the perfect way that you want it to, it doesn't mean it's a bad anime, right? That's just a stylistic choice. So that's a fundamental question. Are you judging anime based on manga, or are you judging anime just based on other anime, or just, your enjoyment of the series? And yeah, I mean, I'll ask you how you judge an anime, but I think it's ridiculous to judge it compared to the manga because 95% of the time it's not going to be as good. Very few shows. We could say Demon Slayer. We could say
Nagatoro.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I mean, Nagatoro. How many adaptations are better than the manga? You know what I mean? Like honestly, like not just the stuff that we watch. Like look at anime as a whole. All the shows coming out. How many anime actually enhance the experience, enhance the story, are actually better than the manga? Very few. Very few, right? And the ones that do are like beautiful. We love them, but very few. So it's a losing game. It's a losing game. If you go in to watch a movie and you're like, oh, I'm going to read the books first, you're going to hate the movie. You know what I mean? Because just like anime, just like manga, the detail, they have time constraints. It's not going to be the full fleshed out story exactly how you want it to be. You're going to be disappointed every single time. Stop comparing anime to manga so much. Listen, as a guy who doesn't read manga as much, I fully accept that manga is mostly better. I fully accept that. But if you go into an anime, only because I read the episode forums for every episode.
The Mad Lab.
People point out, even like JoJo's, people will be like, oh, this adapted this episode. I think next week is going to adapt this episode. I left out this page in the manga, but It did really well with these pages of the manga. I'm like, oh my, you're not even enjoying the anime. You're just comparing it to the manga at that point. You know what I mean? So I think it's a fundamental question. And yeah, floor to you. What do you think about what I just said?
Yeah, I thought just overall it was like I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is exactly everything I wanted to see. There's, you know, I even like there was like one very small moment like right in the beginning. I'm like, oh, okay, they skipped that. It wasn't really much anyway. But other than that, I was like, this is exactly what I expected to see from an adaptation. This like
Pretty much.
the pacing was exactly how I expected. I felt like how I was reading it, like three fights, 12 episodes. It's exactly what I expected. They had all the
Makes
moments.
sense.
They had the little style that they added when they went back in the past, and some scenes looked a lot cooler.
I didn't like that style. I'll be honest, but again, you know, we're not saying it's the best adaptation here. You know what I mean?
Because like with Kengan Ashura, they kind of did that similar kind of thing where like it was 3D, but then once they do the backstory, it's like 2D. It's its own special style. So they kind of did that kind of thing. And some certain moments, they really enhanced it with the anime. Like with the samurai guy when he's like going on that boat, and it's like, oh, who is it? Is it this guy? Is it this guy? This other swordsman? Like in the manga, it was just like each panel is just like each guy, but like I feel like the way they did it in the anime, like it had it like in the reflections of the water, all the different other swordsmen. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I feel like they did their own little enhancements, what they could with the anime. They made it their own little thing here. They didn't just go slide. They didn't. This is no Queen Bee.
This is not a slideshow.
Yeah, they didn't take
a slideshow.
They might have taken some panels and did the exact same copy, but they didn't just focus just on the manga and be like, this is exactly how it should be. Like it has to be exactly like this. This page will be to go to here, and that's how it's going to happen. No, they didn't care about that. They kind of did it in their own way that makes in the way that works best for anime.
Yeah, listen. Really. If you just pause it, the designs look fantastic. This again, it's a stylistic choice. They chose to have, frames that aren't as fluid, but are beautifully drawn. You know what I mean? Again, it's a fighting show. I get why you want more fluid animation for the fights. What do you think about what I'm saying? Do you think people are judging this too harshly to the manga? Do you think a lot of the fandom is just too much of a stickler about the adaptation? And I'm not saying it's a great adaptation. I don't think you're not saying it's a great adaptation. But for people to say it's a slideshow, it does a huge disservice to the manga. I think people really need to slow down with the comparisons to the manga. But would you agree with that?
It's a little hard because I kind of stayed away from all the reviews and everything, especially for recording the review here. Yeah. I kind of want to just let it, not have any influence. I saw the all the memes and stuff, but I didn't actually look at anyone's review or. So
Man,
I didn't even
everywhere.
know. Yeah, I can imagine.
Everywhere.
So I've been looking away from that for the past while. So I don't have any idea how harsh people have been treating it, but.
Yeah, you look at the Twitter comments. It's just. Yeah, everyone's bashing on it. But yeah, listen, I'm not saying this is a great show. Listen, for me, a couple things. I think the backstories were terrible. Yes, they're part of the manga, I get that. But I don't think they were handled well here. Little slow pacing. I think 3 fights was good, but a little slow pacing. The final fight between Kojiro Sasaki and Poseidon, I didn't really like it as much, honestly. That was kind of a burner to get through. But listen, Adam and Zeus is really where it's at this season. That shit was so good. But again, is there a slideshow in there? Yes, there's a slideshow in there. Was the entire fight a slideshow? No, it was not. But remember that one scene where it's kind of showing everyone's reaction, and yeah, that's a slideshow. We'll be honest. I'll be honest. But you can't tell me that whole fight was a slideshow. Come on, man. Come on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I found the backstories a little boring and unnecessary. With Poseidon's backstory, there's this 13th god of Olympus, Adamas. That's made up. If you're gonna stick to religious and mythological lore, I'd prefer if you stick to it. I think.
Oh, they don't
kind of make it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, making up your own god, I think, is dumb. Every other backstory, at least pertaining to the religious, the gods and all that, was kind of, I was fine with that. But making up your own 13th Olympic god was kind of dumb. But listen, this was such a treat. It was such a great commercial for the manga that I started reading the manga too. And without spoiling anything, the fight, because they previewed a fight at the end here. They preview another one. So I went and read that one, and that shit was so good. Oh my gosh, Germs. That fight was so good. Without saying any names, because this is spoiler free, but yeah, I kind of think of this as Yasuke. With Yasuke, another Netflix anime original, I kind of had a lot of investment in the beginning, but then kind of lost it by the end of the series. But this is, by the way, this is better than Yasuke, for sure, in my opinion. This is definitely better than Yasuke, but it was such a good commercial that I had to go start reading the manga. You know what I mean? It's decent. It's a decent adaptation. It's nowhere near a slideshow. It's not horrendous. Anyone saying this is a 2 or a 4 out of 10, I think they're crazy. But it does leave you a little unsatisfied. There's no doubt about that. I think again, everything you said in the beginning, I agree with you. Is it terrible? Is it a slideshow? No. But it's not the best adaptation. I'm glad we got it. I had fun with it. It definitely got me to read the manga a little bit. But not the best adaptation. For sure.
Yeah.
But it does not deserve the hate that it gets. But yeah, okay, final thoughts for the spoiler-free section, then we'll get into spoilers. Any final thoughts for spoiler-free?
Yeah, if you watch this anime and you're like, okay, I like how it's going on here, maybe I wish it looked a little better, just go read the manga. That's usually what the anime adaptation is anyway, but this one really for sure. Yeah. Like, they got a lot of the designs and like the detail and how things looked, but it's just that a little bit better in the manga, but that's how it's always going to be. There's never going to be, well, maybe there may be some shows that looks better in the anime than the manga, but, and you get a lot more story if you read the manga and all that stuff, but not a bad adaptation. I'll wait to give my score in a second, but
yeah, we'll do that at the end of the.
Not fantastic. Yeah. It's just kind of, yeah.
I feel the same.
It's a little sad seeing it gain this adaptation, but it's not like we can do much to change it anyway.
Listen, it was good enough that it wanted me to it got me to read the manga. You know what I mean? So at least it did its job in some sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very much like Germs, not a terrible adaptation. Don't listen to what the people say out there. Just go watch it. And if you don't enjoy it, read the manga. But if you do enjoy it, don't let people sway your opinion. You know what I mean?
That's what we're all about here.
Yeah. It's not. It leaves me a little unsatisfied. It does. It leaves me a little unsatisfied. Didn't really like the last fight. I do have complaints with the pacing. I do have complaints with some of the backstories. The animation's not the best, but they chose design over fluidity, right? Like no Sakuga here, no beautiful choreography, but they chose to have very rich and colorful, detailed character designs, and that's a stylistic choice. And if you hate it for that reason, that's fine. But please stop holding a candle to the manga. If it doesn't look and adapt the manga exactly how you want, you're not gonna enjoy any anime. You know what I mean? Like it's just how it be. The mangas are usually better. It's just how it be.